In this episode, we'll be discussing how you and your team can become a super team by being more effective in communication skills. And we're going to be talking about some of the hidden benefits that most people don't know will jump out at you and raise your game beyond anything you could imagine. Yes, that's coming up. Oh, plus some stuff from Gitex that's going to blow your mind. This is Speak on Stage. Welcome to Speak on Stage with Dave Crane, the podcast where we unpack the art and science of public speaking to help you command the stage with confidence and authority. I'm your host, Dave Crane, and as a seasoned speaker, coach, and entertainer, I've had the privilege of helping thousands of individuals like you to unlock their true potential on stage all around the world. Each week we'll bring you candid conversations with industry experts, successful speakers, and thought leaders, delving into proven strategies, practical tips, and personal anecdotes to empower you to become a captivating communicator. So whether you're a seasoned pro looking to refine your skills, or a beginner taking your first steps onto the stage, this podcast is your go-to resource for mastering the craft of public speaking. So grab your notepad, open your mind, and get ready to amplify your impact as we embark on this journey together. Welcome to Speak on Stage with Dave Crane. Together, let's jump and grow wings on the way down. Another action-packed session. I hope you're feeling well. I'm a bit croaky because of the fact I've just been speaking at Gitex and hosting there for 5 days. And had a big event before that. And also, you can tell I've been busy and staying in a hotel during this entire time because my beard has grown. I'm almost Gandalf. Look at that. Far too long. I should get it cut off. In fact, I'm gonna trim it a little bit because it's a bit hippie-ish, a bit like the hair. Okay, here we go. Anyway, back to the show. We've got loads to get through, so I'm going to get straight into it. Today we're going to be talking about this. What is it, Dave? Reveal. Okay. Essential team communications for leaders. We're going to be talking about the benefits and the things that happen when you most put your mind to how to raise the game amongst your team. Now, here's the thing. You know that I speak on stage. I'm going to show you a little bit of that in a moment. But the thing is, it's not just about your ability to hold a big audience. Most communication skills are in effect when you're talking to people in a one-to-one or a small group. It's in conversations with your staff, with your clients, with your pipeline. With your channel managers, or with your bosses, or with people in a different department. That's when the action happens, generally, if you're working in a corporate structure, or the equivalent if you're an SME. So we're going to be looking at all that because I think it's really important to be able to examine that and see how this will affect you too. This is Speak on Stage, by the way. As you see what we do here, if you like my conversations, you like the podcasts, then you can check them out on various places where you can get podcasts, like Apple iTunes and Spotify and various other platforms I can't remember, but they're all good because they've got me on it, called Speak on Stage. Well, I'm Dave Crane, I'm not called Speak on Stage, but to many people I might be. And you can subscribe and get access to 4 seasons worth of amazing stuff with great interviews and stuff. There we go. Right, if you want to train your team, by the way, I do this, and I've been traveling around looking after lots of people and certifying them. It's really effective. Now, you listen to the podcast and you're saying, Dave, that QR code's no good to me. Okay, https://www.speakonStage.com/get-trained-by-Dave. I'm not going to read it again, but I will put the details within the show notes if you want to check out from there. Just that allows you to then have a conversation with me, book a conversation with me to talk about your team and how we can get you up to speed. I'm not going to be talking about how individuals would do this at this moment in time, just about the impact it has on your team. If you want to work with me directly, that's another conversation we can have. I look forward to having that conversation too, to really raise your game. But let's go with this right now. So welcome to the show. It's really about raising who you are and the impact that you have. And that usually means ka-ching. I used to have the thing that made a ka-ching noise. Don't know where it's gone. But anyway, ka-ching, I'll do it manually. Let's talk about Gitex. Now, Gitex is one of the world's favorite IT events, covering everything from AI to cybersecurity, to new technology, to program. Everything you think of is there. It's a huge, crazy, big event. Fintech and blockchain, all that stuff is all there. And I've been doing it for 30 years. That's why I'm so great. And if I tell you about the original time when I first did it 30 years ago, you just go, oh. Even I go, which is my Scooby-Doo noise. So 30 years ago, I arrived in Dubai as a DJ. And I was approached by the manager of the bar who said, would you like to talk to somebody about doing some work at Gitex? I went, okay, what is Gitex? Or Gitex, depends on how you look at it. I call it Gitex, and I've been there 30 years, so I'm probably right. And what it was is an organization, and I don't know who they were. Even now, I've tried to find them. They've gone underground. But they were looking after Acer, who make incredible computers and tablets and all the rest of the stuff. And they said, we have got a promotion at Acer, and it's called an Ubi boy. I think the computer's called an Ubi for some reason. And we need an Ubi boy, which is a guy who's wearing a basketball cap and a big T-shirt saying Uber to go out on a rap of the Ubi rap. Now, I agreed to do it. And I went out, and I can't rap. Even 30 years later, I can't rap. I couldn't rap when I was good at rapping. I was terrible. I never attempted to. I just talk. That's all I do. Sing occasionally if I've had too much to lubricate the system. And I made myself look like a complete idiot for 4 days. And people were watching me. And it was almost like they just felt sorry for me. After I'd finished, they'd come up to me and say, are you okay after that? I'm like, no, I don't like doing it. I look stupid. But like, yes, you do. How much are you getting paid? I was like, buttons. But I didn't know what buttons was at the time. I thought that was a good wage to be paid for doing that kind of work. And it wasn't. I was completely getting ripped off. Not by Acer. Acer just paying an agency. But the agency, you know who you are. All right. Anyway, let's get back to matters at hand. Gitex, one of the world's most popular events, period. But in IT, it's been going on here for a very, very long time. Incredible. So I'm going to share with you some insights into what happens at Gitex. Take a look at this. Here we are at Gitex. Welcome to the Etisalat stage. It is crazy the stuff we have here. So let's have a look at some of the vehicles. There's one in particular I want to share with you that's going to blow your mind. The rest of the world's not really sure what it is. I can tell you now exactly what it is. Open your eyes and get ready. This is a flying taxi. Can you believe that? Flying taxi. It's not even a made-up thing. It's a real thing. Launched here in Dubai. Can you believe how incredible this is? And I can't wait to actually get in it. So if you have a look inside, you can see just below where the driver is. I'm not sure if everyone fits in the back. I would imagine that all the rotor stuff is in there. I would hope anyway. But look at the size of this thing. Let's take a look around the back of it as well. So that's what it looks like when it takes off, and it's just captured your family and they're off to get there super quick. Isn't that just incredible? This is a flying taxi. It's one of the many things. In fact, this is one of the dancers, real dancing robots that were dancing and displaying earlier. We've got a robot here that talks to people. A little bit creepy, like a lot creepy. Have a look at this.
This is like I'm bringing emojis to life. My expressions can showcase a range of emotions, like anger, disgust, or surprise. They're all about enhancing our conversation and making it more engaging. I can express emotions like joy, sadness, worry, fear.
Oh, it's frozen. What's it doing there? Frozen. Let me just see if I can get it to move. No, it's not moving. Let me just see if it goes any further. Oh, here we go.
I can express emotions like joy, sadness, worry, fear, confusion, contentment, dislike, and even a bit of shock. Quite the emotional spectrum.
So how are you today? Are you enjoying Gitex or do you want to go home?
I'm having a blast at Gitex. It's like a carnival of technology and innovation. Why would I want to be anywhere else?
Good answer.
Thank you. Sometimes I surprise even myself with my responses. What's catching your eye at Gitex?
Well, I'm enjoying watching you and seeing you in action. That's absolutely amazing. And well done.
I'm glad to hear that. It's fantastic being here and interacting with everyone. Anything particular you want me to do or talk about?
Now just be yourself.
That's the best thing to be. If you find yourself curious or in need of a good laugh, just let me know.
Just say one thing. Hello to Dave Crane and welcome to Gitex.
Hello to Dave Crane and welcome to Gitex. Hope you're ready for an exciting experience.
That's all I needed to know. Just to prove that we are here. It is live, it is mad, and there's nothing like Gitex. In fact, to be honest with you, I'm now walking along past several flying taxis. So I showed you this one.
I'm going to stop it there. The reason I'm going to stop it there is because I'm going to do a special show at some point which has got all the stuff from Gitex in. There was more going on than that. I'm going to give you a little taster, but that, I mean, did that blow you away? It was talking to me, it was moving its arms, and I wanted to argue. I call it Gitex, not Gitex. But when a robot's telling you it's called Gitex, you kind of don't want to say something in case it's all connected to all the other robots, including your phone, and they decide to gang up on you. You never know. You do know, but you never know. All right, so what we're talking about, let's go back to Gitex. And I was looking after an event with the cybersecurity area, Cyber Valley, and that was all about capturing the flag. It was a hackathon. So let me just give you a sneaky peek of one of the days, just at the end of it, when we had all the winners collecting all their checks. Really fascinating people from university, people from government and small businesses, and also people from overseas. 20 teams taking part in this big competition. And here we are with a gentleman who I really admire. It's His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Al-Kuwaiti, who's the head of the UAE Cybersecurity Council, and a host of thousands, including somebody I dubbed Optimus Bumblebee. You'll know who I'm talking about in a moment. Watch this. Cybergate. All right, one on the count of Cybergate. 1, 2, 3. Cybergate. Okay, another one. And then on the count of 3, CTF. 1, 2, 3. CTF. Yeah, and on the count of 3, say UAE Cybersecurity Council. 1, 2, 3. UAE Cybersecurity Council. And we're going to do one more photo. So this is a sensible one of everyone smiling normally, like a job interview. We've got to do a silly one as well, because that's the one that's guaranteed to go on the world press. So on the count of 3, you can wave, you can smile, you can do anything, but make sure it stands out. Ready? 1, 2, 3, silly smile! Congratulations, well done! That's why I get the big bucks for doing stuff like that. It was really amazing. And so I looked after it for 5 days, and I've done it for many years, to be honest with you, even though cybersecurity is a relatively new thing in the world. I've done it at GISEC as well, which is more concentrated on cybersecurity, and I will be doing that in the upcoming months when it comes along. But then something happened that's amazing. I'm going to share with you exactly what happened, because I wasn't expecting it. I got an award for the hard work that I'd put in from Dr. Al-Kuwaiti, and here he is.
Those things, and we are giving it this to you. You covered great events here, 2 events in 2 days. We really appreciate all of the efforts here. So please accept this from us, from the cybersecurity team. So thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Can I keep it? Yeah. Thank you, sir. I won't, sir.
I want to see it in eBay somewhere.
It's not on eBay, it's not going to go into Bizzle, nothing. Thank you so much. Round of applause, by the way, thank you. So much.
So there you go. I'm sharing this with you because I'm now leading into the part that's talking about for your team. Because here's the thing, right? When I say this stuff works, there's your evidence it works. Whether your team are trained to have communications so they can speak effectively to their phone to create a video about what your company does, or they're speaking on a stage, or they're talking to each other, or talking to customers, it's all about effective communication. And I want to share with you, even the most foundational communication makes a huge difference. I'm not expecting everyone to get to the level that I get to, because then you'll steal my job. But I'm going to talk about the importance of getting it right at any level. You don't have to be a public speaker, but you do have to be able to speak in public to other people. And that also involves what goes on in your head, which is internal communications. I digress. Let's get straight into this. So the world is different. Everything's different. You see by Gitex, there's a shift in work culture, which we can talk about, but we won't talk about too much. But what I do believe is that you're not going to lose your job. In most industries, you won't lose your job unless it's something that can be done much, much faster if you embrace AI and raise your game. So it's not really that we're talking about AI is going to take our jobs. AI is going to be included in the new job descriptions. See what I did there? It's not going to take your job, but you have to integrate AI into what you do. Otherwise, you will be left behind and replaced by somebody who is using AI to do the same job. Right. Okay, so I'm glad we're on the same page there. So it's a shift in work culture. You have to lean into your human skills. That's what today's session is all about, your ability to communicate effectively, to speak to other people and get them to embrace what it is that you're saying on all sorts of levels because you know what it is you're really putting out there. It's not, I mean, you saw the sort of like jerky conversation I had with the AI there. It was good. It was wow, but it was pretty boring and pretty basic. So people don't speak like that. People have nuances and levels and atmosphere and smiles and other things that are much more sophisticated than that. And it's got to be taken in context of the person that you're talking to, the way you feel, and emotional intelligence, which you can rectify by saying, yeah, we've got an algorithm for emotional intelligence. It's not quite the same thing, but increasing our human skills is probably the most powerful way to guarantee that you can stay employed and employable over the foreseeable future. So let's talk about that, designing your own career path by adding AI, but also, more importantly, by adding your ability to communicate more effectively. What you're ultimately looking for is to prove that you got trust and credibility. That's why people hire you, that's why people work with you, and that's why people retain you, and also authority. I was chatting just earlier to a client, and I said, well, one of the things about being a more effective communicator is not just that you get promoted faster internally, but it also means you're unsackable. Because if you're better at speaking than anybody else, how can they let you go to another company? Because you got so many strings to the bow. You don't even have to be a genius at what you talk about. I'm not a genius at tech, but I'm quite an expert at an overview of how to communicate tech to people. So therefore, I get brought into these huge global events and say, Dave, most people in the industry can talk about what they do, but only to other people in the industry. For the vast majority of people who are walking around, it goes straight over their heads. Translate it. And that ability to understand people is what I'm going to be talking about now. So what could possibly go wrong in your job? You'll never find out until it's too late. And the odds are, by the time they turn around to you and say, well, we've been talking about your position and we've decided to let you go to seek other opportunities. And yes, we've all had that experience. Then it's too late to do something about it. So let's talk about what you can do about it right now. So here's a formula for being paid in case you didn't know. Two things, the impact and the effect of what you do. So whatever you do as a job, it has an impact on people. And secondly, how cheaply can you be replaced by somebody else? Now zone in on that. Have a good look at it. The effect and the impact of what you do and how cheaply you can be replaced by somebody else. That's the golden formula. When you think about it, it's not because they like you or because you're a family member and all the rest of it. That can help. But ultimately, can we do it cheaper with somebody else or an algorithm? That's why you need to make sure that you are irreplaceable. You've got to become unsackable. Super important. I hope this makes sense to you. And let's get into ways that you can have this happen for you and your team. And if you're a decision maker who's looking after HR or you've got a sales team, these are really effective skills because not only are they going to help your team to raise their game, but also they'll understand and recognize when other people aren't raising their game and be able to help them in terms of suppliers or other departments or so on. So it's really essential that you know this stuff so you can share it with them. So let's get straight into it. Now, I work with companies all around the world, especially in Dubai. In fact, if you're from Dubai, you can probably work with companies all around the world anyway, because they've all got head offices here. And here's an example of some of the training that I do. Today, I'm really blessed to be sharing with one of the biggest companies in Dubai how to become effective storytellers, how to become great speakers, how to sit on panels, how to moderate, and how to become the most effective communicators in their industry. Who wants to go first?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
We decided what's good about these businesses and how do we communicate it.
Oh, don't remind me, Dada. It's been a disaster, to be honest.
We had a situation which I would like to share with you, a story about Mark.
So we looked at what do the brands have in common that are good. Okay, well, they had very good people working for them. We had innovative product, and we had a relatively loyal customer.
So that's the mix that you want to be a killer mix. And that is what we say about diversification in real estate. So what does that give us compared to what Dave wants and the aspirations? That's the present, and this is the future.
All of a sudden it started raining, and I took Mr. Abdullah on the side into one of the bus waiting areas. And we sat right there while it's raining outside, and I said, Mr. Abdullah, what if I told you there's a solution for that?
Yeah, the importance, I think, of the adaptability and not being, just resistant to change, because it's coming and this is the future, and we need to be, working on ourselves. Hi, my name is Hala Kabara. I'm Head of Talent Development at AW Rustomani.
My name is John Knight. I'm the Director of AW Rustomani Lifestyle.
I'm Manish. I'm working as Group Head of Tax with AW Rustomani.
Hey, my name is Maya. I'm the HR business partner working.
So we've got the entire team. I'll cut it short there because this video is available to see online. And first of all, I'll go cheers to all my friends at AW Rustomani. I've got my Christmas mug there. And if you look carefully, you can see Santa's got a beard, a bit like mine. Oh my goodness, I'm turning into Santa. That was my fault for believing in him. I was one day going to say, you know what? You will believe in Santa, you will become Santa. Anyway, interpersonal communication benefits that we're talking about, not just of the ability to, look after a room and go to a conference and speak on stage. There's more to it than that. Let's have a look at those things. So effective communication benefits are huge. We're talking about lots of different things here, which we'll discuss in a moment. Ripple effect and active listening. In fact, let's just go through it properly. The ripple effect is the impact that your ability to speak and communicate and listen has on everybody. When they feel they're heard, when they feel they understand, there's less conflict. And they understand that the decision-making process has clarity and transparency, and they can contribute to it as well. So it raises productivity in your organization. So when everyone's talking to each other and they're able to feel that they are heard, that has a knock-on effect right across the entire organization. Next up is active listening. Now, when I talk to a live audience, I talk about the Wi-Fi code and creating collaborations. What happens with the Wi-Fi code is you go out, you talk to an audience, you talk to them, you look at demographics, you understand who they are, what they need, and what they need from you. So when you talk to them, they're able to then speak back to you. And you find that you've got a Wi-Fi code. Excuse me, I've got hiccups. All to blame for Santa on the front of this cup. There you go, Santa. Can you see Santa? Yeah. I know it's slightly early, but, after the pandemic, I just use this cup all the time. Every day is still the same day, Groundhog Day. So going back to what I was talking about, which is a Wi-Fi code, the ability to reach an audience and to get to who they are and understand how to communicate. It's really effective, especially for your staff, to be able to understand the Wi-Fi code and then be able to listen. Sometimes listening to what people aren't telling you, to be able to understand what they really mean. Does that make sense? Well, if it doesn't, that's fine. I can help you with it anyway. What else can you do? Non-verbal communication, body language. Sometimes people say things, especially in a corporate setting, where they'll say, how are you today? I'm fine. I'm great. But everything says they're not fine, they're not great. So body language is really effective. Now, here's the thing. People talk about it, and it's just utter rubbish. We talk about the fact that, did you know that when it comes to speaking, public speaking and communication, 70% of it is body language. And only, 7% is active is speech or something. We've got this ridiculous figures that we say. I think 30% is tone, 7% is the actual words, and 70% is body language, something like that. It's rubbish. It's not true. The words you use and the way you communicate it and the way that people receive it is everything. You add more with body language and context and so on, that matters. But what you say makes a difference. So if I turn around and say, I hate you, stop watching my show, you're going to go, ooh, that's unnecessary. But if I say, I love you, I really appreciate you watching my show. Thank you. It's incredibly creepy, but it does have a different effect. The way my body language moved and my tone of voice was slightly different, but the impact when it was all put together is really important. That's at least 70, 80% of what you do. So all the stuff you get told by people, especially the speakers are out there saying, I can train you. It's not true. That's not the real figures. And in fact, the person who put out the figures about that, I can't remember, some scientist, turned around and said, that's not the context. I didn't mean it. Don't take it out of context. That's not true. And they go, too late. We took it from you first and we're going to stick with that. Google it if you can understand anything I'm talking about. All right, so next up is body language. Then we're going to look at cultural intelligence and sensitivity. I might share a clip of you at some point from the event that we did at Gitex, where we had a special presentation in the CISO lounge for the women in cybersecurity community. And it was really incredible. These ladies from across the Middle East, of all nationalities, who were getting together and getting each other into jobs in cybersecurity. And you're probably saying, Dave, why is the need for more women in cybersecurity? Two reasons. First of all, in the techie world, there aren't enough women working in the techie world because it's generally a male-orientated organization, industry. And what people tend to do is they tend to promote in their own image. So if everyone's a male, they tend to go for another male. Because they speak the same language, but they don't tend to speak people language, they tend to speak coding. And that's true across the entire IT industry. So it's really hard for women to get in because they're just not on the radar. Generally, the people making decisions aren't very good at dealing with women. So they just don't bother. Or we don't think about it until somebody says, beep, do it, beep. And they don't go beep. Don't prod them because that would probably get them sacked. But you get the general idea. But the other thing is, especially in cybersecurity, your ability to be good at cybersecurity means that you're a detective. You're working out what's going wrong, what people are thinking, where it's coming from, what is the most likely objective of the hacker, what's the most likely behavior of the person who's got the coding in there. And it's really about emotional intelligence, understanding what makes people tick. Women are much better at doing that than men. We're not trained to do it, not very good at it. Just ask your best friend to talk about their life. Oh, I'm alive, that's it. Talk to a woman, you've got all these different conversations. That's why we've got really fascinating magazines, if people had magazines anymore. But more fascinating conversations and Q&As. Guys don't talk about that. Guys talk about, do you see the football? Yeah, was it good? It was all right. That's it. That's a conversation. So that's why it's important to understand and drive more about cultural intelligence and sensitivity. So as you create a more diverse workforce, and it's really important that you do, because in any industry, if you've got insights from people of different colors, different nationalities, different gender preferences, a whole range, it lets you see what's going on in the outside world. So therefore you can understand what the marketing needs to be to reach as many different people as possible. Look at elections and how they work and you'll get the general idea of that. Okay, next up, simplify techie jargon. That's why people bring me in, because so much gets lost in translation. They say, Dave, does that make sense? No, it doesn't. It does to me because I'm a BBC journalist, ex-BBC journalist. And so my job, my role is mainly to interpret what people don't get. As techie grows, more and more happens, people say, what does that really mean, Dave? And often I'm talking to people who are geniuses, but are not geniuses in communication. So simplifying jargon means that everybody understands and you're on the same page. Let me give you an example about why this is so important. One of the best communicators in my lifetime was Oprah Winfrey, or is Oprah Winfrey. Now, you may watch her TV shows. She was a legend for like best part of 20, 30 years. Her shows are on non-stop on normal TV. Probably still available on satellite. But what she did really well, better than anything, and remember, she's a multi-billionaire, is when she had guests on the show who are really smart and really good at what they do, if they said something that she thought her audience wouldn't understand, she would dumb it down. Say, I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean by that. Can you explain again? And even though she clearly did know what they were talking about, because she didn't get random people on the show, she understood that the people at home didn't really know what they were talking about and felt a bit stupid because it wasn't explained. So she'd get that to happen. And that's really important for you to be able to know and interpret so everybody in your team understands exactly what's meant of them and what's really going on. Okay. Business storytelling, this is the hidden martial art that most people are embracing. What I love about business storytelling when it's done effectively is it gets everybody on the same page. So when I was looking after the CISO lounge at Gitex, we were talking to heads of cybersecurity for countries, Malaysia, India, UK, everywhere, China, everywhere. And these guys are on stage, and when they're telling stuff about what their policies are and what they do, they add stories all the way through. As we're telling the stories, you're going, oh, so that's what happened. And these people felt that. And so that's why you made the decisions that you're making. If they just told you the stats, it goes over your head. Because if you don't work in that industry, it doesn't make sense in context. But when we tell you about stories and you can go on a journey and you feel emotionally bound by it, it has a huge impact. So business storytelling is really effective. And it's not just about cybersecurity or Gitex. In every single context, whether you're a cleaner or you're making sandwiches, when you want to sell, when you want to get more people involved in what you do, tell them a story, a true story, really impactful. Okay, next up, handling conflicts and reducing tension. As you may have experienced in your job at some point, people argue, fall out, and don't want to talk to each other again. So what do? Well, this is very simple. There's ways and means of fixing all this, and that's what effective communication has. It means that people themselves can police themselves without you as a serious decision maker or a senior decision maker having to jump in and say, okay, ding, 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 round 2 is over, go back to the red corner and the blue corner, different corners, please, otherwise you'll kick each other. Feedback that drives growth. It's really difficult sometimes to hear that you're doing stuff wrong, but it's really good when somebody tells you what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and when you've got opportunities to improve and concentrates on saying it the right way. Let me give you an example. This is a little freebie for you if you're still watching and you haven't gone, oh, Dave, whatever, or listening to the podcast. When you say, I really liked it, but you instantly make people get really excited and then you drop them and it goes, oh, and you feel terrible because the but is what most managers say or bosses say or wives say. That makes you think, oh, goodness me, it's not all plain sailing. You just put that bit in the beginning to make me feel better. And then you suddenly hit me with a sledgehammer full of love, whatever that is. If you say, well, I really liked it and it would be even better if you did this, what a huge difference between and but. And is inclusive, so you get them feeling really excited, and then you say, and we can make it even better. They go, great, I'll do that. So they buy in, it's inclusive. Massive difference in the way that you give feedback. That's a freebie for you, by the way. I'll invoice you later. Next up is leading remote teams. Another huge thing about being able to speak and talk effectively is when you do jump onto Zoom or Meets or Teams or whatever conference facility is available or on video, whatever it is, even sending audios. If you understand how to communicate effectively, then it means that people are working with you and understand you. That's really important when you've got remote teams who you'll never ever see in real life. You'll only ever see them when they're on a screen. And that's normal now, thanks to the pandemic and thanks to the technology that's available. Lots of people will always be distant. So how do you get them into your company culture? How do you get them to have morale and feel that they're all part of one big connection? Well, you've got to be good at doing it. And that means great, effective communication skills. And then ROI of effective communication skills is production. I've mentioned this before. And retention. Staff stay. They love working with you. They bring better results. You make more money. Everybody's happy. And that's the way you should be thinking about it. These are just extra spin-offs that you maybe hadn't considered. So when we're talking about this, and we're talking about the ripple effect, as I mentioned there, let me just make it even bigger so you can see everything without me taking up more space. There we are. The ripple effect, active listening, non-verbal communication, cultural intelligence and sensitivity, simplifying technical jargon, the power of storytelling, handling conflict and difficult conversations, feedback that drives your growth, leading remote teams of confidence, and the ROI of effective communications. All the things I just mentioned to you there, which hopefully you'll be able to take in and digest. Or maybe take a screenshot. You ready to take a screenshot? Gone. You have to rewind it. And when can you use this? We'll go through it very, very quickly. If you're a senior decision maker or you're running a team or you're just looking to be better at what you do with other people, Those are some of the benefits, but they're all involved in every part of the communications that you have. Let's just take a snapshot of that. So interpersonal communication, just talking one-to-one, talking to a team. Or even when you're talking about this, writing stuff down, sending emails, WhatsApps, sending stuff inside your ClickUp or whatever system you have for communication. If you do it the right way, people get it. Do it the wrong way, they get offended, or maybe even they don't understand, and so nothing gets done. Conflict resolution, difficult conversations you have to have with people. We've already mentioned that in the previous bit of the conversation as well. Team communication and motivation. Negotiations and influence. If you want to take people on a journey and get them to buy into what you're talking about, this is really effective and really important. Crisis and change communication. Something happens at work. A disaster happens at work. You've got to turn around, face the press, but you've got to turn around and face your team or the board of directors. You need to be able to communicate effectively, knowing what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and have had practice doing it. That's what I show you how to do. All right, then. Cross-departmental and functional communication. Often if you're working in a huge corporate organization, you've got people from different departments, different organizations, and sometimes different companies all under the same umbrella because you've got like different departments going on. So you need to be able to talk to them and have them being part of your family effectively, but not feeling isolated or feeling conflict, because then it will just come back and do the same to you. Presentation skills, small groups, one-to-ones. It's really effective that when you do that, people walk away and love the interaction, so they feel that it's business personal. So they feel comfortable talking to you. They know it's business. They're not going to follow you home in a really weird, stalky way, but they really enjoy the interactions, and that means that when you're not there, they're looking out for you as well. Hiring and onboarding staff, really important, so they feel the right way, and when you get them on board, that they understand who you are and what you do. And also the other side, which is having difficult conversations or even firing them. You can break somebody for years or even for the rest of their life with the way that you let them go, or you can empower them to believe that they can do even better. And what that means, and this is what companies get wrong so often. Let me just have a quick swig of coffee. Oh. Cheers. I've got a heater for my cup down there, and I didn't put it on the heater, so instantly it's gone cold. But it was still delicious. So when you're talking to people, they can be broken for the rest of their lives if you let them go and just say let them go. So why don't you consider having them part of your brain trust? Let them go, but stay in contact and say, look, if anything comes up, we'll still bring you in on a freelance basis, but also we'd love for you to still be part of our family. We know you're going to get a job elsewhere, but you're always welcome to come back here and use, I don't know, facilities or talk to our team, whatever it is, something that keeps them inside your organization. Maybe they get newsletters that you've created, especially for ex-staff, so they still feel they're part of the family, even if they've gone on to bigger and better things. There's nothing bigger and better than your company. I know that. But you know what I mean? That makes a big difference. So consider that too. And also, we mentioned about cultural sensitivity and inclusion. It's really important so people feel that even though you're not normally like them or they're not normally like you, they're still part of the same team. Problem solving, decision making, communication, hiring and firing mentioned earlier, and how to network effectively. It's all about your network, baby. It's all about the people you know, who they know, and what you can do to get stuff done. Ultimately, when it comes to sales, or it comes to hiring or firing or anything, it's all about who you know, not what you know. And with AI, what you know is even less important as the people you're connected to. So, we're looking at that. It's really important to be able to do that. Now let's talk about the teams and the organizations and the stuff I do. When you work with me directly, here's an example about one of the sessions that I do. The groups I work with tend to be about 8 to 10 people maximum. I do work with smaller as well, and I do one-to-one. But you find if you've got a small group, then you get really intensive results. And there's different levels of doing it. There's foundation level to be able to bring you up to speed, and there's also the ability to then get a real command. That'll be a supervisor, management, director level, and then there's industry icon, which is for those who want to be seen as the very best in their industry, not just inside their company. So let's give a little taster of what it's like to work with a group of people. This is me in action with a training group all about how to answer impossible questions. Take a look at this. Right, if you're being asked a difficult question by somebody from the audience, the odds are that person's asking you a question maybe because they want to know the answer, but it could be because they feel left out because they're not important, you're on stage and they're not. It could be they want to impress everybody in the room by suddenly showing up on radars as asking great questions. They might have their boss next to them, so they want to justify, you know what, I should get promotion because I really know my stuff. It could be a load of these things that have nothing to do with you at all, that you're the keynote speaker. So, if somebody's asking you a question for that reason, and you don't know the answer, what do you do?
What do you think? Like, you can ask us, and what do you think?
I've done this with you before. Okay, yeah, first thing you can do, well, actually not the first thing. First thing is you say great question. You say great question because what you want to do is diffuse their ego of them to think about another question. If you say great question, then I go, see, great question, I'm king of the world, I'm important, and then you've done it. Then if you don't know the answer, you can then ask them to repeat the question. They'll say it to you again slowly in baby language, which gives you more time to think about the answer that you want to give. So, what's your name? Can you repeat the question? I don't know what you mean by that. Okay, so what's written on the back of your shirt if you were to lose it? Does it have your name written on it? I'm glad you asked that. Well, the name is the way that I call myself, or maybe my parents have a different name. Or if you look at my online profile, you see that's why I want to... whatever. You can then rephrase your answer by asking them to repeat it, and they will just go through it with that. So you get a general idea about what it is that we do when we do our group training. We go through every aspect. You can ask any question, and by the time you leave the room, every single person in there is capable of achieving incredible results for their team, for themselves, and also their career goes through the roof because they know exactly how to communicate with people to make them do exactly what they want them to do. Remember, I am a hypnotist as well, and I integrate all those techniques and skills into really persuasive communication. So let's just look very briefly at some of the impact sessions and what they can do for you. So we're looking at interpersonal communication, written communication, conflict resolution and difficult conversations, team communication and motivation, negotiation and influence. Again, you might want to take a screenshot of this. Crisis and change communication. We're talking about cross-departmental and cross-functional communication. We're looking at presentation skills for small groups of one-to-one. We're looking at hiring and onboarding, firing and difficult conversations, cultural sensitivity and inclusivity, problem solving and decision making communication, and of course communication in hiring and firing, and last but not least, how to network effectively when you're talking to big groups of people or you want to make sure that you've got a great relationship with people that you've only just met, because it's quite incredible how you do that. I'm not going to share how, we'll save that for another session, but I have talked about it on previous episodes of Speak on Stage. So let's talk. Been a long episode. Hopefully you got some value out of it. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know where you're from, what you're doing, and any questions you feel like that you can just share with me. I will answer them all and come back to you, I promise you. Details of how to connect with me will be put into the comments section, just in case you're thinking, Dave, what do I do next? You do this. You contact me. Let's talk. Let's look at what we can do. Any questions you've got, as I mentioned, I'm here for you. And if you want me to train your team, then here we go. This is what you do. You literally get your team certified by looking at this QR code. And if you listen to the audio version of it, you're going, Dave, that's not good. QR codes, it doesn't help me. I know. That's why you should be watching the video, because you get to see my long beard like Gandalf or Santa. Forget I said that. Okay. So if you want to go online, go to www.speakonstage.com/get-trained-by-Dave. Don't write the word minus. It's like a minus sign when you're doing your maths. So www.speakonstage.com/get-trained-by-Dave. That's all you need to do. The QR code, I'll leave it for a few more seconds for you to have a look at. Going, and gone. There we are. Today's session was about essential team communications for leadership. For you, if you want to be positioned as the best of what you can be, then even if you're not and you're a supervisor or just a worker at this moment in time, these skills will help you get recognized and take you to a brand new level. And I can train your team to be able to do that. That's why I mentioned earlier going to this QR code, which has now disappeared again. Oh dear, you have to freeze the video and press it with your finger or whatever you normally press QR codes with, and then you can go to the website and set up a meeting for us to be able to discuss how to raise the game with your team. That's it for today's session. I hope you got a lot out of it. It's always a pleasure spending quality time with you. This is Speak on Stage. I look forward to catching up with you in future episodes. Meanwhile, don't be a stranger, and as always, make sure you subscribe to this podcast and connect with me on social. And if there's any questions you have about becoming an industry icon or positioning yourself as the best that you can be, remember, all you have to do is talk to me, and I'll show you how to jump and grow wings on the way down. Until next time, have an amazing day. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to another insightful episode of Speak on Stage with Dave Crane. We hope you found today's conversation inspiring and packed with valuable insights to help you to amplify your presence on stage too. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more aspiring speakers just like yourself. Remember, the stage is your platform to shine. And with the right tools and mindset, you can captivate any audience anywhere. So keep honing your craft, refining your message, and never shy away from the spotlight. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll dive even deeper into the world of public speaking and performance. Until then, keep speaking, keep shining, and keep making an impact. This is Dave Crane signing off. See you next time. Speak on Stage.